Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I mentioned the other day that before too long I was going to do a video about all the coaching changes in the world of college football. And I was going to wait until it was totally done. And I thought, you know what? There's been a lot of changes so far, and it's going to be hard to keep up with. So I'm going to go ahead and do a video and tell you all the changes we've had so far. There's still a few more to come. But so far, we've had a lot of coaching changes and a lot of supposed reasons behind the changes. So if you have any thoughts on anything so far that's happened in the college football coaching world, please feel free to let me know. We have Notre Dame, who has announced that Marcus Freeman will be their new head coach. He has been their defensive coordinator. He is the youngest coach at Notre Dame to be named head coach since Terry Brennan was 25 years old and was named the coach back in 1954, because Marcus Freeman is 35 years old. Now, USC, of course, has hired Lincoln Riley, and I won't give details on why I think he left for the job again. If you want to know my opinion of that, please feel free to go back and watch my video from Monday, I believe it was, when I talked about it. But if you have not seen the contract details, USC has given him a contract for $110 million. Plus, they have given his family their own private jet that they can use anytime they want to, for as long as they want to, and go where they want to. And they've also bought them a $6 million home there in Southern California. Now, there was a rumor that USC also bought Lincoln Riley's two houses in Norman, but that is not true. There's a realtor in Norman that came out and said that one of Lincoln Riley's homes has been on the market for several months now. So that part is not true. But he did get a contract for $110 million, his own private jet, and they bought him a home there in Southern California. So that being said, I would hate to be Lincoln Riley right now. That's a rough lifestyle, I tell you what. And Louisiana Tech has hired Sonny Cumbie as their new head coach. And if that name sounds familiar, he was a quarterback at Texas Tech during the Mike Leach era at Texas Tech. I believe it was 2004 when he was the quarterback. He has been the Texas Tech offensive coordinator, and he was their interim coach the last 4 games of this season after they fired Matt Wells. He is now the new head coach at Louisiana Tech after they parted ways with the son of Lou Holtz, Skip Holtz, after their game this past Saturday. And Jacksonville State, which if you're not sure where that is in Alabama, they have named Rich Rodriguez their new head coach. Now, of course, Rich Rodriguez this past year was the offensive coordinator at Louisiana Monroe, but of course in the past he's been a head coach at West Virginia, Michigan, and Arizona. He actually put West Virginia on the map. They were always an average team until Rich Rod took over, and they became pretty much a top 10 team. He left there and went to Michigan. I think he would have worked out there, but we'll never know. They didn't give the man long enough. He went from, they ran the pro-style offense for years. He comes in, does a complete reversal, and starts running the spread, which requires complete overhaul with the coaching staff, players, and everything. And he won 3 games in year 1, 5 games in year 2, and 7 games in year 3, and they fired him. So he was improving every year, but they fired him. But out west at Arizona, it did not work out. Rich Rod is just not a West Coast guy. But Jacksonville State is currently an FCS team, but they're making the jump up to FBS in 2023 when they will be joining the Sun Belt Conference. I think Jacksonville State has them a good head coach. And Virginia Tech has hired Brent Perry, who has been the defensive coordinator at Penn State. Now, of course, they just fired Justin Fuente, who was supposed to be an offensive genius, and it was never visible. You just never saw it. So I guess they figured this time they would try something different and go with a defensive guy, since an offensive mind did not work out. And Texas Tech hired Joey McGuire a few weeks back, who is mostly prominent in the high school coaching world. And TCU has hired Sonny Dykes as their new head coach. Now, Sonny Dykes' overall career record looks pretty good because he was at Louisiana Tech before Skip Holtz was, and he did good there. And he spent the past few years at SMU, and he did good there. But in between Louisiana Tech and SMU, he was a coach at California, and that did not work out. So hopefully this time around, for Sonny Dykes' sake, he'll be able to be a successful coach with a major program. He did good at smaller programs like Louisiana Tech and SMU, but he was awful at California, so we'll see how it goes this time around. And, of course, Florida has hired Billy Napier as their head coach. They did that almost as soon as their game with Florida State ended this past Saturday. Now, of course, Billy Napier has had success as the coach at Louisiana the past couple of years, but there's a big difference between coaching Louisiana and coaching Florida, so we'll see how that goes. And out west, we've got Washington, who named Kalen DeBoer their new head coach. He has been the head coach at Fresno State the past 2 seasons. He turned the Fresno State program around. We'll see what he can do at Washington. He will definitely be better than their last coach, but I don't know if he'll be as good as Chris Peterson. We'll have to wait and find out. And Washington State hired Jake Dickert as their full-time head coach. He was the head coach in the interim basis on the last half of this season. Now he is their full-time head coach. And last but not least, if you have not heard, I'm sure you have, Brian Kelly is the new head coach at LSU. There's a lot of rumors swirling around as to why he took that job. So just like I gave my opinion the other day on why Lincoln Riley took the job at USC, besides the fact he got that $110 million contract, I think anybody would have taken that contract. But in my opinion, the reason why Brian Kelly has taken this job is because, for one, Notre Dame does not play in a conference. And there's no sign that they're going to join the ACC as a full-time member anytime in the near future. Of course, they're in the ACC in baseball and basketball and any other conference. They're just not a full-time member in football, and you can't blame them because they have that huge TV deal with NBC. And if they were to join the ACC as a full-time member, they would have to split that money with every other team in the conference. But as long as they're independent, they keep all that money. So you can't blame them. Any other team in that situation would do the same thing. So you can't hate them for that. But because of that, there's no sign that they're going to be a full-fledged member of the ACC anytime in the near future. So to a lot of people, that holds them back as far as going to the playoffs. Of course, if they ever go undefeated, they're going to get in. But most years, most teams don't go undefeated. Now, Brian Kelly has made the playoffs one time at Notre Dame, but so far, that was it. There's still a chance they might get in this year. I don't think they will, but there's still a chance that they get in. So I think he knew that most years he's not going to make the playoffs as the Notre Dame head coach. He's 60 years old. He won back-to-back national championships as the coach of Grand Valley State back in, I believe, 97 and 98 before he became a head coach of major college football teams. He, of course, first coached Central Michigan, then Cincinnati, then Notre Dame, and now LSU. But I think Brian Kelly looks at it as he's a whole lot better coach than Les Miles, who won a national championship at LSU. And he's a whole lot better coach than Ed Orgeron, which that's not saying much. My left ring finger is a better coach than Ed Orgeron. But Ed Orgeron won a national championship at LSU. And Brian Kelly is winning over 9 games a year at a school located in Indiana, which has nowhere near the same kind of high school talent that Louisiana does. And, of course, Louisiana is not far from Texas, who just poaches high school players like crazy. So I think Brian Kelly looks at it as, you know what, if I can win over 9 games a year at a school in Indiana with mainly 3-star kids and a few 4-star kids, I can go to LSU and turn those 3-star kids into 4-star kids. And instead of getting 4-star kids, I'll start getting 5-star kids, and I can win me a national championship. So you can't blame the guy. Plus, I think he was making like $3.5 million a year at Notre Dame, which is chump change compared to what most head coaches make nowadays. There are assistant coaches now who almost make $3.5 million a year. So you can't blame Brian Kelly. I'm not saying it's going to work out. I'm just saying if you look at Brian Kelly's overall career numbers, he's a better coach than Les Miles. That's a fact. He's a better coach than Ed Orgeron. That's a fact. So I think he feels like if he can coach better than them and they can win national titles there, he can win a national title there. And when you're 60 years old and you want to win a national title, you've got to go somewhere where you feel like you can win one. Yeah, he won 2 at Grand Valley State, but most people, as of right now, are going to look at Brian Kelly's career numbers and say, you know what? He won a lot, but he never won a national title. So he's wanting to win a national title. Plus his contract he got there is pretty stinking big as well. So you can't blame the guy for doing that. But, I mean, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But he tried. You know, he wants to win a national title, which is what you're supposed to coach for. Everybody's supposed to want to win a national title. So nothing wrong with that. But we still got a few more coaching changes to go. Right now we're looking at Duke and Oklahoma and Louisiana, who do not have head coaches. Those are really the only 3 programs left. Now, of course, it may end up growing if, you know, a head coach from another school leaves to go to one of their schools. Well, then the school they're at now will open up. So there may be a few more than 3 before it's all said and done. But right now we're looking at Duke and Oklahoma and Louisiana, who do not have head coaches as of right now. Any thoughts on any other coaching changes so far? Please feel free to let me know. If you have an opinion of who you think will be the new head coach at Duke, Oklahoma, or Louisiana, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I remember as a kid, my dad got fired from his job as a road worker for theft. I refused to believe he could do such a thing. But when I got home, the signs were there. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.